12 spine-chilling home invasion tales, terrifying secrets revealed that will haunt you forever. Lisa stood breathless, in the dim light of her new kitchen, the weight of boxes pressing down on her hopes. The sleepy suburb of Oak Grove promised new beginnings, but something scratched at the edge of her mind. The neighbors waved too long, revealing smiles that felt more like masks than warmth. What was hiding behind those pale facades? Shadows flickered through the trees, their sprawling branches reaching for her like fingers from a grave. Late at night, when dark murmurs echoed through the windows, panic curled around her heart. Laughter dripped unsettlingly beneath the hum of crickets, threading its way through her thoughts. Shadows danced behind thick hedges, slipping away just as she turned to catch them. But Lisa brushed it off, convinced it was merely the quaint charm of suburbia. Yet deep down, her instincts screamed that something was wrong. She couldn't shake the feeling that it was only a matter of time before the true face of Oak Grove revealed itself. One Friday night, with Jake at a friend's house, a flickering light caught her eye from the forest's edge. Should she investigate or turn her back and chalk it up to a neighbor's backyard barbecue? Her curiosity gnawed at her until she finally pulled away, every step toward the door dripping with hesitation like an impending storm. As she returned from grocery shopping the next day, a chill ran down her spine. The voice of her neighbor, Mrs. Grapes, floated through the air, hushed but sharp, as she blurted out that Mr. Thompson had gone missing. Gone? Lisa echoed in disbelief. The rest of the neighbors shifted uncomfortably, exchanging quick glances filled with the unspoken. Why didn't they care? Keep quiet. The uneasy tension radiating from their tight-lipped smiles settled into her bones. Days passed, the disappearances piling up like leaves on a forgotten path. Families vanished from Oak Grove as if they were never there. Each time she reported it to the authorities, they brushed her off, calling her paranoid. Nothing to worry about, just a coincidence, they'd say, with comforting smirks that prickled her skin. But then came the basement. Dusty and eerie, it beckoned with a sinister whisper. Lisa discovered a hidden door, sturdy wood, like a tooth gritting in restraint. With hesitant fingers, she pushed it open, stepping into the darkness of the tunnel beyond. Laughter and flickering lights echoed in a corrupted symphony. She pressed on, the air weighing heavily, electric with dread. Symbols carved into damp walls scratched at her mind, remnants of a horror she couldn't comprehend. It felt as if the very essence of the dark was alive, stalking her every move. The shadows no longer faded in her peripheral vision, they darted closer, swirling in chaotic glee. Whispers surged from above. "Stay with us, Lisa. Don't leave, don't look," a voice hissed, slithering through her thoughts like a serpent. Just as she turned to race back up, desperation clawing at her throat, she heard it, a knock on the door, cold and demanding. "Are you home, Mrs. Lisa?" The voice curled around her, freezing her blood. Someone was waiting, lurking outside, their intentions as dark as the silhouette they cast. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." She gathered the courage to step back into the house, icy fingers of fear clenching her heart. What had she unleashed? What games were they playing, hidden in plain sight, right beneath her nose? As she approached the door, apprehension pulled in her stomach like a storm gathering strength, mixing the shadows with the light of her hope for safety. Who stood beyond? A neighbor, or something far more sinister, hungry to devour her sanity, her very soul? She paused, then slowly reached for the doorknob, every heartbeat echoing in her ears, a grim countdown to whatever waited beyond. The doorknob felt cold and foreign in her hand. Lisa hesitated, every instinct urging her to turn back, to lock the door and retreat to the safety of the basement's darkness, a darkness she almost preferred to the unknown lurking just beyond. A second knock resounded, much harder this time, rattling the door. "Mrs. Lisa, I can see you." The voice was smoother now, each syllable coated in an unsettling familiarity that made her stomach churn. Open up. You've been avoiding us. Her heart raced. Avoiding? The thought sent adrenaline through her veins, igniting panic. Were they watching her? The shadows flitted against the cracked windows, twisting into grotesque shapes, stretching like hands eager to pull her into the void. Please, just a moment, she called back, trying to sound calm. She stepped away from the door, retreating into the shadows of the kitchen. Her chest tightened, air suddenly thick and suffocating. Footsteps crunched on gravel outside, methodical and slow, echoing around her like the ticking of a clock counting down toward a dread she could barely grasp. She held her breath, straining to listen. What did they want? Would they come inside? Then she remembered the hidden tunnel in the basement. Perhaps there was a way out, a route to escape whatever twisted fate awaited her. But the thought of that laughter, the children's laughter mingled with something darker, invaded her mind once more. It felt like a warning, or a promise. Lisa's eyes darted to the door as the voice returned, low and playful. We can't wait much longer. Don't be rude. You're one of us now. The words swept over her, submerging her in icy dread. Who were the us they referred to? Was it the neighbors who had gone missing, now part of a sickly game that she had unwittingly stepped into? Gripping the counter for support, she turned back to the basement door. Could she really risk going down there again? Before she could answer, the doorknob rattled, and she recoiled as the hinges creaked. Her pulse quickened. They wouldn't take no for an answer. Open up or we'll come in. The voice teased, a sinister undertone threading through the words, pulling her closer to the brink of despair. Desperation clawed at her. She had to make a decision. The basement, with its secrets and whispers, or face whatever darkness awaited her at the door. Just then, the lights flickered and went out, plunging her into complete darkness. Panic shot through her. Cursing herself, she fumbled her phone from her pocket, its light slicing through the blackness like a beacon of life. Let me in, Lisa. The voice outside dripped honeyed malice, flooding her ears, echoing off the walls. We want to play. Lisa glanced at the open basement door. She felt its pull, the need to uncover the truth buried at her feet. But the door, the slow scraping on the wood as someone leaned against it, yanked her heart into her throat. A soft laugh floated through the air, chilling her to the core. It felt like an invitation to a party she never wished to attend, but what choice did she have? Time slipped away, and the sound of her knocking heart melded with the laughter. She made her choice then, racing to the basement. As she descended into the chilling embrace of the tunnel, she felt the shadows wrap around her, hiding her from the danger above. But deep inside, she knew the true horror had only just begun, and there were no guarantees she would escape unscathed. Then came the distant laughter again, echoing in the darkness, swirling around her like a storm. You've always belonged to us, Lisa. Her heart dropped as the realization dawned. They were all around her now, waiting. Just as she summoned the strength to scream, the tunnel began to pulse, sending tremors beneath her feet. And then everything went silent. What awaited her in the suffocating dark? Would she find answers, or would the shadows consume her next? The silence pressed heavily against Lisa. It felt like a weight on her chest, drawing her deeper into the shadows. She stood still, heart hammering in her ears, trying to tune out the last echoes of laughter that danced in her mind. The tunnel ahead was dark, almost alive, pulsating with anticipation. Step forward, it seemed to whisper. Lisa hesitated, the chill of the basement seeping into her bones. She raised her phone, the beams slicing through the black like a knife, revealing damp stone walls that closed in on her. Every inch felt suffocating. The faint flicker of her flashlight cast eerie shadows, where the faces of her missing neighbors could almost be seen, eyes wide, mouths trembling, and silent screams. Were they trapped in the tunnel too? Trembling, she took a cautious step further into the void. The shadows danced, teasing her with dark memories she struggled to grasp. Each small movement felt like a step into a waking nightmare. Suddenly she stumbled, her foot catching on something unyielding. She knelt to examine it, her hands brushing against the cold earth. A rusted toy, its chipped paint flaking like old skin, clutched in her palm. It was the same one she had seen in the park a week before that terrible day. A child had been playing with it, a girl with wild hair and a haunting laugh. Had she been warning Lisa? Her breath quickened. That laugh, it mingled with the deep, unsettling giggles echoing from the darkness. They knew she was there. Lisa, the voice now echoed from every direction, wrapping around her, suffocating. Join us. The ground beneath her shook again, more violently this time, as if some beast beneath was waking. She scrambled to her feet, fear turning her insides to ice. Panic rushed in full force as she turned back, toward the faint light of her phone. The shadows twisted behind her, elongating and sharpening. Don't go back. We want to show you. The chorus erupted, childlike voices filling the air, swirling with malicious glee. As she stumbled forward, the ground opened beneath her, revealing a sight that clawed at her sanity. Rows of broken toys, discarded clothing, and pictures of families she didn't recognize mounted in piles, evidence of lives once lived, snatched away by the very darkness that now pressed against her. Help us! Echoed around her, voices both mournful and playful, a jarring juxtaposition. Lisa's skin prickled as she moved over the debris, the sharp edges cutting through her resolve. She turned her phone to the walls. Images of laughter and life stared back at her from the drawings etched into the stone, the very children she had seen playing in the park. But something was off. Their smiles were twisted, eyes hollow. Do you want to play hide-and-seek? The voices called, rising into a frenzy, their tones stitching together like a sinister choir. Lisa shielded her ears, trying to block them out, dread pooling in her stomach. No! I don't want to play! She screamed, her panic igniting flames of defiance. The laughter ceased abruptly, silence flooding back like a tidal wave. All of a sudden, the oppressive shadows held their breath. Then, just above a whisper, a new voice emerged, deeper and more menacing. But it's too late, Lisa, you're already here. The sound of scuttling feet echoed behind her, and her heart plunged as she spun around, her phone nearly slipping from her grasp. The tunnel was alive, reaching out with tendrils of darkness, ready to engulf her. She had to decide, fight whatever this was or flee deeper into the tunnel where answers awaited. But were they answers, or more lies? As she shifted backward, something hot and clawing brushed against her leg. It sent a shockwave of ice down her spine. Now, it's your turn to seek, the voice crooned from the shadows. Lisa's breath quickened, brewing panic boiling over. She turned, sprinting forward, no longer caring where she ran but only that she had to escape. What had she really stumbled into? Would the shadows allow her to escape, or were they planning to keep her forever? The walls seemed to shift, ready to swallow her whole. Her pulse pounding in her ears, she charged forward into the unknown. But was it the real escape she sought or merely a deeper descent into darkness? The ground trembled beneath her feet as Lisa ran, her heart pounding like a war drum in her chest. The tunnel closed in around her, tightening like a noose. Each flicker of her flashlight revealed more broken toys, the harbingers of lost childhoods littering the path, faded dolls with glassy eyes and stuffed animals with matted fur, all appearing to watch her as she dashed past. Lisa, come play. The voices echoed again, light and sinister, wrapping around her, taunting her with their sweetness. The laughter surged, almost bubbling from the walls themselves, rising to a pitch that made her skin crawl. You can't run! They sang out, a chorus mocking her desperate steps. She glanced back, but there was nothing, only shadows grasping hungrily at the edges of her vision. The fear of loss gripped her tighter than ever. She didn't want to become one of them, one of those hollow smiles etched in stone, forever trapped in this nightmare. The darkness shifted. A faint glow appeared ahead, tugging at something deep within her. Was it salvation? Or a trap set by those unseen? She sprinted, fueling hope with desperation, each step resonating like thunder in the silence behind her. As she approached the light, it flared brighter, illuminating an archway that led to another chamber. The air smelled of mold and decay. The beam from her phone trembled as she stepped into what felt like a throne room adorned with drawings, wild splashes of color contrasting with the somber stones. They depicted scenes of laughter, blissful moments circling back to the children she had seen in the park. But hanging at their edges were shadows, dark and creeping, turning the joyful scenes into something grotesque. "Join our game," a voice whispered, sultry and seductive, echoing off the walls. "No!" Lisa shouted, clenching her jaw. She refused to yield to the darkness, to whatever twisted game was being played. But just then, she spotted it. At the center of the room stood a pile of everything that had been snatched away: toys, clothes, and mismatched shoes, all items she recognized. It was an altar, a tribute to the lost. Tension coiled in her gut, suffocating her resolve. Was this real? Or part of the torment meant to break her spirit? Above the mound floated a single, glowing orb, a memory of light, flickering defiantly against the suffocating grasp of shadow. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. "Remember us? We were always here." 1,000 whispers filled the air. It wasn't just laughter, it was pleading, darting like fire in her veins. Without thinking, Lisa lunged for the orb. She needed to know. As her fingertips brushed the cool, glowing surface, a surge of energy washed over her, pulling her toward the darkness like a magnet. Images flooded her mind, flashes of laughter, cries, then screams, all merging into one horrific symphony. Her neighbors' faces twisted in panic, their bodies fading into shadows, consumed by something she could not see. She recoiled, pulling her hand back, but it was too late. "Now you see!" The voices shrieked, swirling around her like a tornado, a maelstrom of despair enveloping her completely. The ground shook violently, and the chamber split around her. Lisa stumbled, desperately looking for a way out as walls pulsed with life. The shadows surged forward, reaching for her in a way that felt more than just malevolent. They seemed to be alive. And in that moment, she understood. This was not merely a game of hide-and-seek. It was a trap, woven with her own fears, laying claim to her before she could even begin to fight back. "Let go!" she screamed, choking on the darkness, feeling it clawing at her ankles. The walls echoed her cry, twisting into faces of agony, a trapped multitude clamoring within the stone. Their cries rang loud in her head, urging her forward. "Help us!" they implored weakly. With a sudden rush, clarity struck. The only way out was to confront the truth lurking in the shadows. She could save herself, perhaps even them. But this revelation came at a cost. What hope could possibly exist in such darkness? Fighting against the almost magnetic pull of the shadows, she had to decide. Would she brave the depths and uncover the secrets hidden within the darkness, or remain ensnared forever? The shadows twisted closer, eager and hungry as she waited, breathless with uncertainty and the weight of peril. What would she discover? And could she endure what she had to face next? The ground beneath her feet began to crack, ready to swallow her whole. The cracking earth erupted with a thunderous roar, sending chunks of debris spiraling into the air. Lisa barely had a moment to react as she stumbled backward, the floor beneath her shifting like quicksand. With a primal instinct kicking in, she turned on her heel and ran deeper into the chamber, her pulse racing, each beat echoing in her ears and drowning out the chaos around her. The walls heaved as if they were alive, pulsating with a malignant energy that wanted nothing more than to crush her. Every step felt like wading through a thick fog of fear, but she pressed on, propelled by an urgent need to escape. Shadows flared all around her, reaching out like fingers of smoke, whispering her name. "Lisa, please, you can't leave us." There was desperation intertwined with the taunting calls, and it struck at her heart. Each plea hung heavy in the air, intertwining the spectral forms of the lost with her own terror. Lisa fought against the sense of despair creeping in, knowing she couldn't succumb to their chilling calls. Ahead, she spotted another flicker of light. A small, dim glow pulsed softly, flickering like a heartbeat. Was it another trap? Or a beacon of hope? She surged toward it, her breath hitching in her throat at the unexpected sight. The light revealed a fragile doorway at the far end, ornate and inviting, draped with cobwebs that looked like gnarled fingers reaching out for her. "Help us!" The voices faded into something softer, almost lullaby-like, beckoning her to turn back. But there was no way she'd do that. Not now, not after everything that had happened. With a wild surge of adrenaline, she leapt through the threshold. The moment she crossed the doorway, the atmosphere shifted violently. It felt like stepping into a different realm, one where the air was thick and charged, filled with the tension of something waiting. "Welcome," a voice echoed, deep and reverberating, swirling around her like a tempest. This voice was not of childhood innocence. It carried an ancient malice that sent ice down her spine. Lisa's skin prickled. The walls here were adorned with photographs, their frames tarnished and cracked. Each image was a family's at play, happiness frozen in time. But like the drawings in the throne room, shadows loomed at the edges, distorted faces, wide grins that felt too vast, too hungry. She frowned, trying to comprehend what lay before her. A chill crawled up her back as she approached one of the photographs. The faces were familiar, her neighbors, the children she had seen in the park, each face trapped in a moment of laughter, but now their eyes conveyed a warning, a message that pulsated with urgency. "Help us!" "Why?" Lisa shouted, frustration boiling in her veins. "Why can't you just be free? Release us!" The faces contorted, voices blending into a cacophony that echoed through her mind. The orb-esque glow flickered in her memory, the surge of energy still echoing within her. A thought struck her. Perhaps she held the key. If she could confront the source of their despair, maybe it would weaken the hold of the shadows. Rallying her courage, Lisa stepped further into the space, determination anchored in her heart. She raised her chin, looking straight into the swirling darkness, and shouted, "I will find a way to set you free." Suddenly, the photographs began to vibrate, the faces twisting in agony and relief. A heavy silence fell, one that felt like a breath caught in a throat. The walls shivered, and the ground trembled beneath her once more. But this time, it was different. The earth settled and cracked in new patterns, revealing darker passages that looked like gaping maws ready to swallow her whole. Could the truth unlock not just their freedom, but hers as well? As Lisa stood on the precipice, the darkness above began to swirl angrily. Chilling whispers filled the air, crescendoing into a deafening roar. To explore further would mean plunging deeper into the unknown. Can you face what lies ahead? The shadows beckoned around her, swirling restlessly as if eager to consume her. What choices would she have to make? How far would she have to go, and would she even survive the truth? Lisa's heart hammered in her chest. The darkness pulsed like a living thing, mocking her with its choice: retreat into the light of familiarity, where those haunted faces still whispered their desperate pleas, or advance into the abyss, where the source of their torment awaited. "Don't be a coward," she muttered through clenched teeth, steeling herself against the rising tide of dread that threatened to sweep her away. The swirling shadows shrieked in response, a cacophony of anguished cries crashing over her. They tangled around her limbs, pulling her backward, crawling under her skin, suffocating her thoughts. With a gasp, she fought through the darkness. The air thickened, feeling like hands pressing against her throat. Each step was heavier than the last, but she could almost feel the tangible weight of the family's despair clinging to her. Confronted, the voice from the void echoed, low and guttural. "You will find what you seek." Rounding a corner, she stumbled into an expansive cavern. The walls were slick with something dark and sticky, reflecting the dim light like oil. Jagged rocks hung overhead, threatening to collapse. Odd fluids dripped from cracks in the ceilings, each drop sounding like a broken promise as it splattered to the ground. Flickers of movement caught her eye. Shapes darted through the shadows, too quick to fully see. A flash of a familiar face, the boy from down the street, eyes wide with terror, mouth agape in a silent scream. Lisa froze, heart racing. Was this another trap? Or were the lost souls trying to warn her? "Lisa," the boy's voice floated toward her, twisted and warped by fear. "Don't let them take you. You have to." The whispers multiplied, rising into a monstrous howl. "Release us! Release us!" The echoes grew louder, drowning out all rational thought. It felt like she was teetering on the edge of sanity. She pressed her palms against her ears, as if blocking out the sounds would banish the horrors. "I have to find the truth," she shouted, desperate. "What do you want from me?" A rumble rippled through the cavern, and the shadows coalesced, forming into something at once grotesque and alluring. It was a mass of shifting darkness, with hollow eyes that absorbed the feeble light and a mouth that opened like a gaping chasm. "What is the truth?" it growled, its voice like gravel sliding over flesh. "What do you seek, little girl?" Lisa's breath came in sharp, frantic bursts. "I want to save you. I want to know how to set you free." It chuckled, a low, chilling sound that reverberated through her body. "Liquid courage, is it? But fear not, you'll learn. All that awaits you lies deeper." The mass undulated, tendrils reaching out in slow, hypnotic motions, wrapping softly around her wrists like familiar chains. Stinging coldness seeped into her skin, and she felt her pulse quicken as something started tugging at her heart, pulling her toward the darkness that felt so alluring, so ominous. The room darkened further, pushing her instincts into a crouched panic. A shimmer caught her eye, a mirage within the depths. Image after image flickered into view, banishing the shadows briefly like lightning illuminating the night. It showed her the past, the families, the laughter, the tragedy that tied them to this place. Suddenly, the truth of it all washed over her like ice water. A revelation that stunned her into silence. These weren't just spirits, they were memories anchored to pain and loss. Could she really be the key to breaking this cycle? "Will you chase after the truth?" The voice crooned nearer, breath hot against her skin. "Or will you allow fear to dictate your fate?" As the darkness tightened around her, she felt the pull grow stronger. It promised answers, but at what cost? The light flickered in her head, blinding yet soothing, but the gnashing teeth of the wall of darkness loomed closer. Desperation gripped her as she faced the choice: dive deeper into the void or cling to the riddle of the past she was desperate to unravel, hoping it would free them both. But when the air grew sharp, and the laughter turned cruel, a new sound spilled forth, a childless laugh, echoing with a sinister resonance. Remember, what does remember mean in a world drowning in shadows? And what memories awaited her when she took the next step? Lisa's heart raced, veering on hysteria as the child's laughter echoed off the slick cavern walls. It vibrated through her bones, promising familiarity yet dripping with malice. What memories lurked within that sound? She could feel the unexpected urge to remember, yet a part of her screamed to forget. As the shadows churned, the room felt smaller, as if the darkness was alive, pressing closer, inches from her skin. A sudden chill passed through her, eliciting goosebumps that marched like soldiers across her arms. The tendrils of the mass tightened around her wrists, digging in, as if feeding off her terror. "Remember!" The childless voice rang out again, piercing through the din, like a bell tolling at midnight. It resonated with grace, a bizarre comfort in the face of this horror. Desperately, she closed her eyes, letting the images flood her mind. Faces hovered behind her closed lids, the parents, siblings, neighbors, all sealed in a moment of unbearable grief. Memories rushed forward, then retreated as the darkness beckoned closer, as if warning her to stay still. "No!" she shouted, opening her eyes. "I want to submit." The mass lunged. Darkness enveloped her, whispering seductively, promising to satiate her thirst for answers and yet tightening its grasp, twisting her thoughts like a vice. "Fleeing means losing your chance," it hissed. "You want to free us? You must embrace the memories." But those memories held too much weight. She could drown in them. The laughter echoed again, and in that moment she recognized it, the mismatched note, the sickly sweet sound of a childhood lost to tragedy. A pale face flashed through her mind. The boy who had lingered near her dreams and turned nightmares on their heads. "Don't let them take you," his voice mingled with the laughter, a cradle of torment that clawed at the very walls of her sanity. She was lost in the abyss, clenched in its icy grip, but something, an ember of resilience, reminded her of the resolve she had when she first entered this suffocating space. With a violent thrust, she jerked her wrists, gritting her teeth, pulling against the darkness. "I want to let you win." "I refuse." The shadows writhed, startled by the outburst, recoiling momentarily as if wounded. In that instant, she caught a glimpse of herself in the slick wall. Her reflection was pale, eyes wide and wild, haunted by what she had witnessed. But inside that reflection, a flicker of defiance surged. How many had lost themselves here? How many had been snuffed out by the pull of despair? Her heart thundered. She could almost hear the community whispering against the storm, a silent call to fight back, to reclaim what was lost. "Release them!" she yelled, her voice echoing with determination. "I will find the truth, and I will break this cycle." The mass hesitated. It seemed almost taken aback, questioning her resolve. Shadows flickered and shifted, forming grotesque shapes as if debating her claim. She could almost see the swirl of fractured lives dispersing into the ether, fragments tangled with gleaming strands of hope. Yet, it was not over. The laughter evolved, turning sharp and malicious, piercing through her resolve with relentless shouts. "You have no idea what's coming next. Are you ready to face the truth?" Lisa braced herself, feeling the weight of impending revelations close in on every side. Panic clawed at her throat, but amidst it all, determination ignited like a match in the dark. What truth awaited her deeper within this chaotic underworld? Before she could take another breath, the shadows erupted, unleashing torrents of chaos, ghastly faces swirling, intent on dragging her into the void. What would she discover when the darkness bared its fangs fully? And would she still be herself when the truth was finally revealed? The shadows lunged, coiling around Lisa, neither fully tangible nor entirely formless. She gasped, pulling against the suffocating grip, her heart a metronome of terror. Each thud reverberated in the hollow expanse, a countdown to the unspeakable. The laughter galloped around her, tangible now, a perverse symphony resounding in her ears. Suddenly, the air shifted and the laughter swelled into a cacophony, rising like a storm. It morphed into whispers, a thousand frenzied voices screeching at once, demanding her attention. "You must remember. You're the key. You are the one." Their melodic terror wrapped around her, pulling her deeper into the darkness, each word like a thread tugging at the seams of her mind. She screamed against it, thrashing wildly, desperate to break free. But unseen hands gripped her tighter, her wrists ablaze with pain as they thrust her backward, deeper into the abyss. Memories flickered like lightning in the distance, illuminating nightmare fragments, her childhood home, a crumpled photograph of a boy grinning back at her under the sun, shadows dancing around him. "Help me!" The boy's voice rippled through her, a haunting plea laced with despair. "You promised you'd save us, Lisa." The shadows pulsated with glee, taunting her. They sang their unholy tune, weaving a web of past regrets, threatening to ensnare her within their grasp. "You can't escape. You're one of us now." Her vision blurred, a kaleidoscope of dark memories twisting before her eyes. She fought, refusing to succumb to the weight of despair. "No! I won't let this end me." Even as the icy tendrils squeezed tighter, she felt a flicker inside her, a desperate hope igniting against the smothering fear. "Show me!" she cried, summoning strength she didn't know she had. "Show me the truth!" Without warning, the environment shifted, dark walls melting away like wax, revealing glimpses of abandoned dreams and shattered lives. Each vignette prickled at her senses, a family crying together under flickering lights, a little girl discovering a tarnished mirror, the same boy now suffocated by shadows. "Don't you see?" The voices howled, swirling around her like a tempest. "You're too late. They suffer because of you." With each revelation, the weight pressed heavier on her chest. Shadows warped into faces, mournful, anguished, accusing. Lisa's breath hitched as recognition struck like a slap. Each belonged to the lives she had forgotten, drowned in the murky waters of her own turmoil. "Shut up!" she shouted, teeth gritted. "I can't change the past. I refuse to bear this guilt." Their laughter turned sinister, a sound that grated against her skin. "But the past doesn't forget, Lisa." The boy's image beckoned to her, his spectral face peering through the veil. "Find me, set us free." As she fought against the mounting dread, there was a stirring. The darkness trembled, as if acknowledging her will. The darkness churned violently, fighting against her fervor, sensing her resolve as a threat. "Embrace the truth." Accept your role. It roared, its voice like shattering glass, vibrating through the air. The walls wriggled, and shadows screeched back, hissing in defiance. The child's form cast a hazy glow in the midst of despair, slowly breaking through. Yet, in the chaos, Lisa hesitated, dread embedding itself deeper. What if the truth shattered her completely? The laughter intensified, punctuated by a bone-chilling whisper that slithered through her consciousness. Are you willing to lose everything to uncover what lies beneath? Against the maddening swirl, Lisa's heart pounded. Fear and determination intertwined, each pushing her toward an unseen edge. Weaving through the memories, burdened by the weight of countless souls lost, longing, trapped. So she focused on the boy's face, trusting that moving forward would shed light on the shadows. I will find you, she vowed, feeling the darkness shift. I will set you free. What unearthly truth awaited her? And at what cost would it come? As she reached for the boy through the tumult, the shadows clawed back, wrapping tighter, ready to reveal what had always been hidden. The moment Lisa reached for the specter of the boy, the shadows convulsed, bulging like a roiling sea. Each desperate moment felt eternal, stretching her resolve thin. She could almost see him now, his face a swirl of anguish and hope, desperately reaching back, his tiny fingers beckoning her closer. Please. His voice was faint, lost in the noise, but it flickered like a fire in the pitch black. You have to believe, the shadows shrieked, their wailing 100 voices combusting together in vicious fury. You cannot save him. You did this. The accusation sliced through her heart, but there was no time to dwell. She had to act. With a jagged breath, she lunged, pushing against the fetid grip of darkness that clawed at her throat. No! No more games! She screamed, her voice raw. Each word blasted through the cacophony, carving space in the swirling chaos. She stumbled forward, the memory of her childhood home flooding her senses. It was here that the boy had vanished, lost to the very shadows that now wanted to swallow her whole. I won't let you take him, she shouted defiantly. The air shifted again, transforming a backdrop of despair into a vivid scene from her past. An dim-lit living room, a cracked window casting eerie shadows. The boy sat on the floor, his smile stretching to fill the room with warmth. But darkness seeped in from the corners, creeping like ink, determined to snatch away his joy. The laughter echoed louder, but it morphed, taking a sinister tone that chilled Lisa to her bones. Just let go, the whispers cooed, cruel and mocking. You can only save yourself. A deep breath. She fought back, the bile rising in her throat, summoning the courage buried beneath layers of fear. He's not mine to save alone, she yelled. I'm doing this for all of you. For every soul trapped and twisted by your malice. In that moment, there was silence, followed by a piercing roar, as if the shadows themselves recoiled at her bravery. An opening formed, radiant light bleeding through the darkness, illuminating the boy's face under the remnants of despair. Hope flicked in his eyes, merging with her determination. Hold on! Lisa shouted, reaching out as wide, glimmering fingers spiraled toward the boy. I'm coming for you! But just as her fingertips brushed his warm skin, the darkness erupted around them. Shadows howled in rage, clawing back with ferocity, threatening to drag her away from the fragile light. You are too weak! They screeched, wrapping tighter, each tendril infused with crushing cold. The boy's image faded, sorrow filling his eyes as he mouthed the words, "Please don't let go." The glimmer of light was tenuous, slipping away like quicksand between her fingers. Panic surged as Lisa felt the ground beneath her tremble. No! I won't lose you! She screamed, pulling against the darkness with every ounce of will. The light flickered, almost extinguishing, but she refused to succumb. What must I do? She yelled into the swirling chaos, certainty mixing with dread. Show me how to save us. I will do anything. The shadows recoiled, hissing, their twisted faces morphing into a grotesque blur. The laughter subsided into something deeper, more sinister. You already know, came the voice, sultry and cold, wrapping around her like a snake. Face the true darkness within you. Dread washed over her. Was there something lurking in her own heart? Something more terrifying than these shadows? As the darkness writhed, threatening to consume her, Lisa realized that her fears had been waiting, hidden in the echoes of her guilt. Terror gripped her even tighter. What have I done? The shadows swirled one last time, then fractured into a million shards of darkness that blotted out everything. In that gulf of black, Lisa felt the very fabric of her being unravel. She was spiraling into the abyss not of the world around her, but of her own making. Would she face her own fear and uncover the truth? Or would she be forever lost in the storm of her past mistakes? The shadows whispered a sultry promise. Your reckoning is at hand. What darkest truth lay beneath her surface, waiting to be unleashed? Lisa felt herself being pulled down into the depths of her own mind, heart racing, as the shadows tightened their grasp. The darkness whispered, face it or be consumed. Panic surged through her, but she stood firm, clenching her fists, summoning every ounce of strength. What's inside me? She shouted, voice echoing through the void. Show me what I've hidden! Suddenly, memories flooded forth, vivid and relentless. She saw the boy again, the child lost in her past. She recalled the bittersweet afternoons spent playing, laughter that turned to silence in a heartbeat, the guilt that had followed since the night of the party, laughter echoing followed by screams as darkness enveloped the house, leaving only silence in its wake. A thrill of terror washed over her. She had locked those memories away, buried her own responsibility. Lisa! The boy's voice wafted through, distorted yet clear. You promised to protect me. No! She yelled back, chest tightening. I didn't mean to let you down. I tried to be brave but feared I'd fail. The ground beneath her cracked again, sending her to her knees, shards of light highlighting the torn edges of her memories. You can't save them without saving yourself, Lisa, another voice called, filled with desperation. Let go of your guilt. Embers of courage sparked within her. Realization dawned like a sunrise breaking through a long night. If she wanted to save the others, she had to confront her own failures, her fears. Only then could she find the pathway to freedom. I was scared, she admitted, a heart-wrenching confession that echoed into the abyss. I didn't believe I could save anyone. I chose to forget. The shadows recoiled as if struck, dark faces twisting with rage. You cannot escape the truth. They howled, but their voices grew weaker, losing strength against her burgeoning resolve. I won't run from it anymore, she cried, clutching the last threads of hope. I will embrace the memories. I will fight for the lives trapped in this darkness. With that fierce declaration, the shadows split apart, revealing the boy still reaching for her. Light poured through the openings, illuminating the cavernous horror surrounding her, shifting the weight of despair into something lighter. Let go, he urged. Let go of your shame, Lisa. As the tendrils of darkness released her, she summoned all her will and lunged forward, fingers stretching to grasp his hand. Their skin brushed, and a surge of energy coursed between them, tightening, enveloping them in warmth. Suddenly, the shadows shrieked, swirling back in anger as bright tendrils of light encased them. The air hummed with new energy. The child's laughter unfurled like wings. The essence of others joined them, fragile, bright beings breaking free from the oppressive darkness, faces softening into smiles, eyes sparkling with gratitude. You did it! The boy cheered, pulling her closer. You're breaking the cycle. Together, they were a beacon, glowing brightly against the darkness. Lisa felt tears stream down her cheeks, immense joy and grief intertwining as she held the boy's warmth. I'm so sorry, she whispered, aching for lost time. All is forgiven, he replied simply. You've shown us the way. The darkness erupted, shadows disintegrating like ash in the wind. The cavern began to fade into nothingness, but Lisa held firmly to the boy. With every moment, warmth embraced them, sweeping away the lingering traces of sorrow and fear. We'll go home, she promised him, eyes glistening, feeling the pulse of hope emanate from them both. And then the light expanded outward, engulfing everything until the last remnants of darkness evaporated completely. In an instant they were outside the evening sky, a riot of colors, alive with promise and laughter drifting through the air. They stood hand in hand, the boy's presence fading softly, casting a protective glow over her heart. "You are never alone, Lisa. Remember us," he said, beaming brightly as his form lightened, gradually dissipating into the breeze. The weight of loss floated away, replaced by a gentle ease, but the strength of her journey remained within her. As she turned back to the community of Oak Grove, she beheld the familiar faces of neighbors long thought lost the hint of their essence woven through trees, whispers of children playing in the park, now echoing with genuine laughter. "Let's South make this place our home," she murmured, resolved. She took her first step on the path back, her heart lighter, nurtured by grief but renewed with hope, ready to cherish every moment, welcoming one sweet truth: she was finally free. Now, my friends, before you dive into your own journeys, I have to remind you. You need to subscribe now. Don't miss the next exclusive stories that will take your breath away. Smash that like button. It helps us reach so many more eager souls out there. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories on this wild ride. Your voice matters. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support means everything, and only true fans understand how powerful these actions can be. Thank you.